Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I'm Renee Allen, the host of this podcast. Excited to be here today. I'm back. I went out of town across the country again, last minute, unexpected trip, and got back 2 nights ago, pretty late. So I'm still catching up and starting my new year, and it's almost the end of January. 1/12 of the year is almost over, and I haven't gotten my footing yet, but that's okay because, life is full of surprises and life isn't perfect. And that's what I want to talk to you about today is that sometimes things don't go the way we want. A lot of times they don't go the way they want, or just even as expected. Sometimes the new thing could actually be better and wonderful. And we're so glad that happened, but not always. So life isn't perfect. We know that, right? And yet we want to be able to accomplish things. We might have goals, responsibilities, whether it's you need to accomplish something because you need to have food to eat or clothes to wear, just kind of the basic things, or be able to pay your bills, or even just have some nudging, gnawing thing in your heart, in your mind of something that you want to accomplish, and it keeps nagging at you, nudging you. Are those real words? Somehow together they don't go. But you get these ideas and you keep thinking about it and you think I need to do this, and so you work towards something that might not have to do with a responsibility, but it's either a desire of your heart or some kind of inspiration, some prompting of, yeah, I need to follow this idea. And some people are creative. That could be something that they want to make. Other people, it might just be learning something new or entering the world in a new way and showing up in a different way that you haven't before. And I don't know if you've used words like that before, like how do you show up in the world? But if you've been a mom for many years and you still are a mom, but your role was more, the way that I showed up in my community was with my children, dropping them off at school or at the store. I was a consumer or a customer or whatever, or I worked at this place. That's the way that you show up, that people see you and know you as. And then at some point, you might have another idea or a different direction, or somebody talks you into doing something that you never thought you'd do, or you just even see somebody else do something and think, I want to do that. We get inspired by other people. My name of my podcast, the name, not my name, the name of my podcast is Inspiring Women with ADHD. Excuse me for having a groggly voice. But the idea is sometimes we're inspired by each other, and that can happen in so many ways. Many times, even at church, the things that I've learned haven't been actually what somebody told me in a way, like a message or a principle or something that made me think deeper or understand. A lot of times it's just when they talk about what means a lot to them, that's what I'm inspired by. Does that make sense? Of seeing that in action in that person. And some of these things aren't done in a logical, intellectual way. They just happen. We have an idea and we start feeling like, I want to do this. For many, many years, I wanted to write a book. I mean, for decades, I wanted to write a book. Now I don't. I don't know why it went away. Did I ever start, you know, typing something up? No, because I couldn't think of a topic. I couldn't actually think of something that would be a good book. I just wanted to write a book. I like the idea of writing a book because I do like to write, but I never thought of a topic. So that might change someday, but I look at that and I think that was that was something that entered my mind many, 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 many times. And maybe when that left, that gave me room to, hey, you should start a podcast. There was probably a big gap in between, but many, many years before I acted on the podcast. And you might have something. It could just be, I think I want to run a 5K, a 10K, a marathon. I know a lot of people who have that desire. and they work toward it. They work really hard to get there, and then they do it. Pretty amazing, huh? But in life, so many things can disrupt the ideas that we act on, the things that we want to pursue, the things that we are pursuing. You have your day-to-day things, you have your schedule, your, day in and day out, week in and week out. This is what Monday through Friday looks like. This is what Saturday and Sunday looks like. And you kind of have a pattern in your life, and you fit in new things however you can. That's hard. I think it's really hard to fit in new things, because whenever I fit in something new that I want to do, I need to start lifting weights again. Well, before that was a non-negotiable. It happened every morning. I didn't have to make room for it. Now, if I were to do that in my life, and I do it occasionally, but not like I used to at all, I'd have to carve out time. What am I going to not do in order to do that? And sometimes you have to take something else out. Often we have to take other things out, which could be some TV show that you binge all the time. And I'm raising my hand here. I'm not accusing you of that, but I do that. I do like to watch TV. I always have. And that's, it's my reality. But so that might have to go away, or just sitting. I didn't used to get up and get on the computer. When I first started exercising, I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have a computer in my house. I would get up and exercise. I had a TV, but we didn't even have cable. I just put in a video and exercise, or go for a walk, or go for a run back before I had kids, or go to a gym or whatever. But I wasn't getting distracted by checking emails, because there was no email. I wasn't distracted by my phone. There was no phone besides the house phone. And even with that, I would wake up, and even though nobody was going to call me that early in the morning, I would take my phone off the hook when I exercised, because I learned that if I didn't, sometimes people would call and disrupt my workout. And then if that happened, it was really hard. Your heart rate's up, you got all that momentum. And even if it's a short phone call that you don't need to act on right then, it's really easy to lose your momentum. And it's like that in life with anything that we do, that it's easy to lose that momentum. It's really hard to get it back. And if you work in the fitness industry at all, and I teach yoga, so I see this. I don't know that I would have otherwise, but it's pretty common for fitness instructors, or probably a gym owner, to know that New Year's, and everyone knows this part, but New Year's, your classes sometimes double in size. That people are like really committed. We're going to exercise. We're going to exercise. And then not even before January is over, those numbers drop. And then you either see similar people that you saw before, or some people that have their new routine. And maybe the people who used to come to your class found a new routine. Maybe they have a new goal. But things start to get pretty even and normal. And I've had some people in yoga, we call them students. In a fitness class, they call them, like a gym member, or a private yoga. It might be a client, but in yoga, we call them students. I don't know why, but that's what we do. Like we're in school. But my students can be some who come for years, especially at a yoga studio, or if you teach privately or something, where they will have that dedication, and they will come for years to your class. That's pretty it's a pretty personal thing, where you have a preference for your yoga teacher. Maybe you have a few that you really like, and you go to those yoga teachers. Sometimes it's the style, sometimes it's the person's voice, sometimes it's how nice or mean they are. Sometimes yoga teachers, I'm surprised. I thought they'd all be really nice, and some are really strict in their classes. And I don't like classes like that. I don't want to feel like I'm in trouble or something. But anyway, so what happens with these patterns is some people are really consistent, and then we have things that take us away from that consistency. It can be illness, it could be injury, it can be surgery. Maybe you have something that's been a problem for a while, and you're finally getting knee surgery, and then I won't see that person for a while, or a vacation. And that can happen on their part or my part. So as a yoga teacher, when I broke my wrist, not a fun time at all. When I broke my wrist, it was just an hour or half hour probably before I was going to teach a yoga class. So I would go to this fitness class, this HIIT class, high impact intensive something. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, HIIT, HIIT. I would go to this class and interval something. Are you would like this? My ADHD is not good with details, so I can read something 1,000 times and not remember it in a conversation. But I was in this class and I was doing Tabata training where you do short bursts of high energy, of high effort, whatever. And we were doing side to side shuffles and then jump, jump, side to side shuffles, jump, jump, kind of like whatever. Um, Plyometric jumps, things like that, where both feet are off the ground and it's intensive. But you get a little break and then you do it again and you do it again. Well, a few things happen when you're doing that multiple times. Your muscles are getting fatigued. They aren't as strong, and you may not jump as high or lift your feet as high when you do the side shuffles. Well, I already have a problem lifting my feet up when I walk and trip and stuff anyway, so that's a problem. And I had on shoes that have a rubber sole, which most tennis shoes are. I think they're rubber anyway, something that grippy. And the floor in that gym was not uh, like a wooden floor or a fake wood floor where it might have a slipperiness to it. It was more of the traditional weight training floor where it was black, rubbery. So you get the rubber meets the rubber, and there's a saying with that, and I don't know why, but anyway, that's probably not even the saying. But from what my friend who was behind me in class told me is on probably that 5th Tapata, as I was doing the side to side shuffles, my legs were more tired, my feet did not lift as high, and my left foot and running shoes often go out at the bottom. If you notice these kind of details, these are the kind of details I remember, is the sole in a running shoe goes wider at the bottom. A cross trainer shoe might go, or a volleyball shoe might not go out as wide, but usually a running shoe does. And I probably had running shoes on. I'm sure I did because those usually have more room in the toe box and all that stuff. Anyway, so yeah, I was going side to side. That rubber on the edge hit the rubber, and I went sailing with all of my momentum to the left. And I don't know if you've ever had an injury where in the middle of falling, it feels like it has about like 10 seconds of all the little things. And when I've done that, like I actually can think of how I'm landing. I've tripped quite a few times in my life. And when I've done it with a child or a baby in my arms, I'll do it. I'll think, how can I protect this? It's just kind of instinctive, I guess. But it's like instead of just falling, I'll fall knee, knee, elbow, elbow, and then stay holding onto the child. And then I'm pretty banged up, but the child is fine. So I don't know why that happens to me. I don't know. I would really love to hear from you if that's ever happened to you. But while I was falling by myself, no baby in my arms, sailing to the left, I thought, you've already broken your foot. I think at that point, maybe just one time, probably. I'll have to look. I need to have a little history of my injuries, what years they happened. I'd already broken my foot once, maybe twice. I can't remember. But maybe it was just once. Anyway, I thought you already broke your foot. You can't break it again. Well, there was no chance of it because that was my second thought of you are not going to land on your foot first because your feet are that way to the right and your body is just sailing to the left. It was just with all this momentum going left. So my last thought was, you can't land on your feet. And as soon as I did that, all the weight went on this left hand. And it was just, and then my next thought was, I have yoga in a half hour. I hope I'm not hurt too much. And then all these people come around me and say, we're, oh, are you okay? And all this stuff. And they could see my wrist that it was not okay. And they were getting me ice and trying to keep me from passing out and stuff because it hurt so bad. And I was like, I have to teach yoga. And they said, you're not going to be teaching yoga. But anyway, what I learned from being out, because I didn't want to be out very long. And the gym owner was really nice. She's just like, I'll plan on you being out a month. I had to have surgery and stuff. I was probably out longer than that. I can't remember. But I thought, I don't want to be out that long because I liked my routine. I liked going and teaching. I used to go to spin classes in the morning and then those HIIT classes or weight classes and all this stuff. I love the spin or the cycle classes. couldn't go. I missed it. I loved the other classes I taught, couldn't do it. And so I was really sad not to do that. I couldn't get things done at home. So I had to miss out. I had all that disruption. If you've ever had an injury, you've felt this too. It's just like life is not normal anymore. I'm frustrated. And sometimes you have to slow down for sure. Sometimes it takes longer to slow down. And sometimes you have to let other people give to you, and that was nice. People brought me dinners, even from people from my classes. One woman is a chef. She's a personal private chef where she delivers food to people. She did that for free for me. I mean, it was just one meal, but it lasted me probably a week. I'll have to ask her. It was done in a like one of those, they're not the pressure cookers, but you know what I mean, the Instapot. And it was some kind of chicken something. It was just so amazing. I asked her how she made it later. She told me the name of it, and it looks very complicated. So I obviously forgot, but that was a good memory. Another friend from church brought me tacos, but she's Mexican. Her grandmother's recipe, I asked her, "How did you make those?" I reheated that, I just ate them. My family wasn't eating my meals very much. They were so good, but when she told me, it was just one of those things like, "Oh, all you do is you take some vegetables and you throw a little of this and some peppers," and I'm just like, "I know that I wouldn't be able to do that like you did," but I cherish that. So I do love that, and I watched almost all well, at least all the seasons of, Call the Midwife, and even some series that had subtitles that were in Spanish or something or French. I watched them because I had so much time. But back to my initial story. So that's a disruption, right? That happens to us. But what I learned from that is the people who came to my classes, my students, my yoga students, didn't just break routine when they got injured or sick or went on a trip. If I was gone for very long, they found a new routine too. And that was kind of hard because those were people that I made decisions like in my schedule. Like, I really shouldn't teach Saturday mornings anymore. I should give that up. But then I thought, no, because this person loves coming on Saturday morning and I want to be there for her. And I was there for her and she was there for me, but then later they get out of that routine and then I don't even see her anymore, ever, 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 because it's hard when people break the routine to start it again. You fit other things into your life or other things creep back in. And even when I went on a trip, if it was a trip for a week, yeah, I'd see people again. I'd get subs or whatever, and I'd see them again. If it was a long trip, even 2 weeks, I don't even know if I went. I'm just thinking week and a half trip that happened because I haven't been on any real long trips in a really, really, really long time. Probably 9 days tops or something. But you even when I did that, that would disrupt their life or their routine. Maybe it was better for their life, I don't know. But we are creatures of habit, and when we develop a habit, it is easy to keep going with that habit and just keep doing that thing, be in that flow, and if things keep disrupting it, it's really hard. One of the sayings they used to have, and my mom would say, I don't know if other people say, it's like pulling teeth. And I've never pulled teeth before. I'm not a dentist or anything, but I've had my teeth pulled and not like, oh, you get your wisdom teeth pulled when you're college age or young adult or something. And that's hard, but you kind of go under for that, right? Or at least you're not really aware. I've had 4 teeth pulled very aware, just where they gave me a Novocaine. In the past, I had one 2 years ago, 2 years ago, and 2020 and last year or the year before, I can't remember. Anyway, very, very aware. And if I hesitate to say anything medical dental because, nobody likes to hear that stuff, but it is not easy. And, they don't come out easily, and that's a good thing. I realize that's a good thing our teeth don't come out easily, but it's like pulling teeth sometimes to get yourself back into a routine that you used to do when things don't go right, and life doesn't always go right. You just get in the swing of things again and something happens. It could just be a disruption to your week. You wanted to get something done and you didn't, and I think for the self-driven goals, that's harder than like work obligations and things like that. Although I guess if you're in charge of the project, that's harder. But you know how they always have there's a person that you can kinda go to and say, "Sorry, I'm not able to do that," and then they have to find someone to do it, or you help find somebody to do it. But at some point, there are some things that are easier to not accomplish than others, and either way, I don't know, I don't think it's fun. So, on that happy note, what do we do? What do we do? Because life is like this, and I see this whenever I come back from a trip. How do I get back into life? And usually just waking up and trying to get up, do the things you need to do is wonderful. But if you were somewhere where it was a 3-hour time change, a 9-hour time change, whatever trips you've gone on in your life, it can be hard to come back and actually wake up or get yourself to go to sleep. Last night I was in this room, I don't even know what I was doing, cleaning. I was rearranging things with the microphone and stuff. It was almost 1 in the morning. And I kept saying, "You've made podcast episodes about this, time management." The next day, really how successful the next morning is depends on the night before, and I knew that, and the fact that I got myself to sleep a little bit after 1 was better than it could have been, that I was very aware of it, and it took some work to get myself to adjust to a time change, to adjust to a new routine. And then even just wrapping my head around what was my old routine? What is important to do right now? What do I need to accomplish? Not easy, but I just want you to know that uh, even though even though you have things that might block just day-to-day life when things are going well, there are also things that make it even harder. And sometimes those shifts just come within yourself. It could be hormonally, you're having a day, you are not as productive, you are not able to stay on task or even begin a task. It can be really challenging. There's so many little things you can try: standing up, walking around, going outside, lighting a candle, drinking a soda. I don't know, maybe you don't drink soda. My aunt and uncle were just here and I offered her a prebiotic soda. I really like, and I don't have any commercials on here. I'm not doing any product affiliation, anything, but if I did and got paid, I would do it for Olipop grape soda. It's so good, so good. And that's my new thing, but they're not cheap, so I don't drink that many of them or that many a day. I try not to drink more than 1 a day or even buy 1 a day because 'cause they're kind of expensive. But so that's not a very good product placement if I did was doing a commercial, huh? They're kind of expensive, but they are. They are. They're like $2 a can. But if I drink that, it really does make it feel like I can accomplish anything. It doesn't even have caffeine in it, but it's just that it's such a happy experience to taste it that it boosts me up a little bit. And whatever can give you your boost to help you can help you in those moments. But if you're really fighting an absence of routine for a while and you're wondering, what's wrong with me? I'm trying all my little things and I'm still not able to get myself to do this. It can be overwhelming, it really can, and sometimes you just need to do a few of them the first day or a few the next day. What I found is really helpful is to do something that even though it's not accomplishing all of your goals, and maybe that's not even possible to accomplish everything that you want to in a day, but even if you don't or even don't get close to that, choose something that is soothing for your brain. Choose something that makes you get into some groove where you can relax. Because if you're walking around and just taking in all the stimuli of, oh, like I can just look out and see my porch right now, and there's a table out there that came with the house because they said, "Do you want it?" We said, "Sure." Have we ever sat at it? Maybe a handful of times. Most of the time I look at it and think I should wipe off the top of that table. It's dust on it. So I can look everywhere I look. I see an idea of you should go clean the yard or, oh, we have some camellias on those bushes. They're so pretty. Just go outside and enjoy them. Like everywhere I look, I see an idea of a different plan and I want to do all of them. Maybe some more than others. Cleaning's not always fun, but sometimes it is. So it could be, yeah, I'm gonna go out and clean that table, and then, oh, I wanna sweep off the porch, and it becomes calming because I'm in a groove. I'm in a mode. I've already made the decision. My body's enjoying, like, just relaxing. I don't know if that you get that way, but as soon as my brain can relax, it's not trying to decide and I'm just doing. It's very energizing. It's very calming. And I am getting at least one thing done, maybe a few. So if you're finding that you're having a hard time managing all that you need to do after an injury, after an illness, after taking care of somebody else. It's another thing I see a lot as a yoga teacher is people who are the most dedicated coming to all these classes out in the hallway before or after class telling people there's a woman named Pat that's like was like my biggest cheerleader at this one gym telling people why aren't you in her class and this is really good. I can't believe what good it's done for me. Blah, 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 blah. And I still love Pat, and I get texts from her every day. She likes to send me motivational messages and stuff, but I haven't seen her in over a year because she had an illness. She started coming back, but during that time when she was coming back, she started taking care of some of her relatives, driving them to doctor's appointments, assuming that responsibility in her family. And she's never been able to get that time back. And that became her new priority, which I totally applaud, but I miss her. Whenever I hear from her, I think it would be nice, even if we just went for a walk, but I haven't been able to get her to commit to anything. And that's all right. This can be our relationship for right now. But anyway, this might be a shorter one because, like I said, I recorded, I think, 15, 20 minutes before this one. Not even talking about exactly the same thing I did this time because where it comes from, I don't know. But I was recording it and I have the video recording going and the audio. And I looked at the audio and it had just stopped. And so I have to keep looking that direction every once in a while. And if I do, it might be why my my volume might get a little quieter because I turned my head away from the microphone to do that. But that's going to be a new idea. Now I need to reposition that computer so I see it easier in the background. But yeah, this is going to be a shorter one today because it took me a long time to get set up because life is not perfect. But do what you can. Do what you can. And we're not perfect either. I'm sure you know that. But sometimes we feel like we should at least be able to do as much as we want to or have some kind of good image. Like when you look at a picture that you're in and you're really just looking at yourself and not you don't want that one because you know that this one's a little bit better than the other one. We all have that. We'd rather look a little more perfect, although it's, not perfect, but we want to be presented as our best. And the truth is we all have ups and downs and don't present ourselves in the best way. Even just this trip flying, my ADHD ways show up at times. And at the same time, I was really proud of myself because there were so many systems I developed. And I went on the same trip. I went to Arizona twice, came home for about a week and a half, and did it again. And the second time, I knew the terminals. I knew the system. It was easier to get in and out of the plane and I'll sit here, I'll do this, even though I still kind of like it in and out of my bag. And I feel like I'm begging the person next to me to lean over and try to get something and I can't find it and stuff. But I wasn't fumbling as much to get my driver's license. I told myself it's okay if you give yourself a second to put it back in before you go through security and all that. And I felt like I wasn't fumbling as much because sometimes out in public, when I have a lot of steps to manage, and you might do this too, when people are watching and there's a time constraint, it can you'll feel that stress and it can make it harder for your brain to work. But I did it. And hopefully you're able to have some accomplishments too. That'll have to be my accomplishment for the first month of January because I don't think I've made very many podcasts in this past month. But I'm here now and I plan to continue to be here. I hope you stay with me. I hope you're not like the people that after I'm gone with my wrist that drop off. I want you to stay in touch. And also, I appreciate those of you who have come to my website and signed up for my freebie. I don't even know if it's working. I looked and saw a few people signed up. I revamped my website and put in some new freebies and have, I think, my email list moved over for you to get emails and for me to write to you weekly The consistency hasn't been there, and I really, really need to look and make sure that things are set up right and that I can really actually have a system here with it because that's my desire is to be in touch with you, to connect with you, be inspired by you, hear what you're doing, and we can work on things together. I wanted to work on time management last year and made some strides, but I want to work on it some more this year. But thank you so much. One thing I did before I went on my trip. I came to make a podcast episode and then I thought, okay, instead I think I said in my last episode that I was going to write and record a song that reminds you to leave a review or share my podcast with a friend, to rate it. Maybe if you've already rated my podcast or left a review, thank you, thank you. And if you haven't on YouTube, even if you don't watch on YouTube, my YouTube channel is Inspiring Women with ADHD, same name as the podcast. You can go there and do the same thing. And eventually maybe it'll grow. I'm going to plug along and see what happens. But what was my point here? Oh, I made the song. I recorded it. I listened to it today before I got on because I thought, okay, now I have to figure out how to add it to the end of this podcast. And I thought, oh, it's not as good as it sounded when I was recording it. But I made a few tweaks because I sang 3 parts and I made it so the other 2 parts were not as loud as the first one. So you could actually hear the melody. Anyway, it's going to be on here. I haven't decided in what order if I put it on. I'll probably put it on right when I say goodbye before my closing song. You will find out. I guess so. And we'll see how it goes. But thank you. I did accomplish a goal. Yay. And I'll be back for sure this time. I mean, I shouldn't say for sure. One of my favorite podcasts I listen to, he says, I would rather under promise and over deliver than say, I'll be back and then not deliver. But I will be back. I'm scrunching my nose like, I don't know for sure. I will be back. I'm having a hard time knowing because you never know if something's right or not because, life is unpredictable. But I think I'll be back. So stay tuned and I will be back. I'll see you later. Bye. Help other women find the show. Rate, review, share with someone you know. Help other women find the show. Rate, review, share with someone you know. Help other women find my show. Rate, review, share with someone you know. Thank you so much. Open windows, broken shadows. Frozen dreams are left for tomorrow. Without a cause, no time for a pause. Rewind, I've run out of time to sing melodies and harmonies. I'm cut short, the silence of sound has yet been found, but not by me.